Hey everybody, Mark Zachary. Hope you're doing well, and we're back with another episode of A Stroke of Good Misfortunes. And I've been out a couple of weeks, but we've got some exciting guests coming the next couple of weeks. I've got another stroke survivor that's going to tell his story, and we've got another. Uh, Episode with Shakia, who is OT at Tier Memorial. We've got Kent that is coming in a couple weeks. Then we have just a man. It's a big all-star lineup of guests that are going to share their stories about why they do what they do and what makes them do what they do. And man, there's some special people. And the reason I started this podcast is, today's kind of a emotional day for me. It was 18 months ago. Man, quit it. 18 months ago that I was sitting in my living room just right over there watching TV and minding my own business when my world was turned upside down. And so it has been pretty challenging ever since. But you know what? I've had some great accomplishments, and I've had some pretty good challenges. So I want to go over those today, but give you really an update what has been going on for 18 months, and just give you a recap, and then we'll get back into the interviews next week. So I'm excited about that because it's not always easy to talk about what I'm going through. But when I did this, I said I wanted to just give somebody that may go through this after me, or you have a family member that may be going through this. I want you to know what's coming your way, and be an encouragement to you to hopefully just give you some insight as to what you should expect, and some encouraging news about if you're doing your exercises and you're doing your things that the therapists tell you to do, and just work hard at it, that your chances of survival and thriving are much better than you just sitting around moping about this and that is all bad. And because it is bad, but you got to focus on what's going right. But that doesn't mean you ignore the challenges that you've had. In my wildest dream, when I was sitting in the hospital 18 months ago today, it happened at about 5:30 on September 25th of 2021, and it's about 5:30. And when I got to the hospital, I didn't know if I was going to survive. And in my wildest dreams, I never thought I'd be holding a podcast less than a 1 year after I could not say more than two or three words together, and more than a few words that you could even understand. My daughter has a recording that I had remembered that our dogs, or my dog, had a vet appointment while I was in the hospital, and I called her and left her a message, um, and I don't even know how she understood the message that I was telling her. Don't forget to take Scout to her doctor appointment, her vet appointment. I mean, it was so slurred, and it was so incoherent that I have no idea how she really understood what I was trying to say. But she did get the message. I knew it didn't sound right when I was saying it, so I tried to repeat it to make it better, and it never got better. So anyway, less than 1 year after that event, on September 22nd of 2022, me and Craig Carter and Ron Wilshire delivered our first podcast of Inside Houston Real Estate. And man, had you told me that on September 25th of 2021, hey, Mark, stay with it because you're going to be having a podcast in less than a year, I would have told you you were out of your freaking mind because I just was laying flat on my back and I couldn't communicate. And the doc, I think you've heard the story. If you haven't, you can go back to episode 1 where I tell what happened that day. But it's pretty crazy. So, but you know what? I did. I wanted to do this podcast, like I said, to be an encouragement to somebody that you can get through this. It may not be. You may not ever get back to perfect. I'm certainly not there, but I'm doing more with my right hand than I have. I actually brushed my teeth the other day with my right hand because I'd gotten pretty good with my left, but I started brushing my teeth with my right hand. I only stabbed myself 3 times in the eye, so that was a good thing. But I just want to always be as honest with you as humanly possible, um, and and just let you know what are some wins, what are some challenges that you're going to have. So I want to just update you. So the main some main wins that I have is number one, I'm still kicking. I It was not. I was lucky to survive this. I was lucky to survive this. They told my daughter in the ER that they're not sure your dad's going to make it, and I didn't know that until um, about a year later. And then the doctor, Dr. Blum, who is going to be on here, we saw him about 3 months after my stroke, and he said, I see from these reports that your kidneys were starting to shut down." And then all of a sudden, they kicked back uh, into life. And so anyway, I'm still kicking. I still get to see my wife and kids, and I get to see my grandson. Um, for the first time in May. Okay, quit it, Wheezy. Here, hit Wheezy. I'll get to see my grandson for the first time coming in May. So I am super excited about that. And I told my therapist recently. I said, "Hey, I've got a new I've got a new incentive to get better, and so push me as hard as you can. And if you have to make me cry because I need to hurt so I can get better." And so yesterday, I actually went and got a shot in my arm here for um, frozen shoulders. Because if you just sit there in the bed like I did for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and not really move that shoulder, it will freeze in that area. And we have really made some good strides in this arm, but it kind of had reached a point where I wasn't seeing as much progression that I wanted to. And they said, "Well, you may want to get a cortisone shot in your shoulder to loosen up these muscles even more." And we've had Botox shots. I didn't even know what Botox was for, other than really uh, tightening up some wrinkles and making your lips look like a duck and all this kind of stuff. I thought that's what Botox was. But Botox was actually developed to loosen up the muscles. And so I've had several Botox shots and on my wrist and in my shoulder and in my foot and in my hip. And it allows your muscles to loosen up so you can work them more. So we didn't know this until 6 months, maybe after the stroke, that we could even do something like that. So if you have a stroke, if someone you know has a stroke, ask your doctor and your therapist about getting Botox shots because it will allow you to move your muscles a little bit more and work your muscles a little bit more. So, and then if they have any extra, you can put it in your lips and really look pretty on that. So, I didn't. They didn't have any extra for me, or I would have shot some in the lips or something. Maybe get rid of these wrinkles up here. But and if you're listening to the podcast, I'm pointing at my wrinkles on the forehead. So that's something that you want to make sure that you remember if you have to go through this, or if you're going through this, go ask them about, hey, can we look into getting a Botox shot into the affected areas. It'll help you. It loosens up your muscles. Now the thing issues with your hands, if they loosen up so much, then you really can't hold on to anything because it's really loose muscles, and so you don't have much of a grip. But it will get back to normal, and so I can grip my toothpaste now, my toothbrush, and haven't done the like hair or anything with the right hand yet, but I'm coming. I'm coming back with that. I'm going to try here before too long. Maybe this 18-month date is perfect to try to eat with my right hand. I will do that, and I don't think anybody knows how incredible it is. And I'm even lifting up this arm that this far. I figure I can do the cool pose now with this right hand, and it doesn't even look funny. It just looks sexy. So okay, sorry. So I'm still kicking. I'm having a great time at work. It's at it's challenging to walk up those stairs in the morning after rehab. I go to rehab 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, and then I take Friday off. But I go every morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I get up there about 7 o'clock, and maybe do a little walking around the office to get loosened up before we start at 8. And then I'm off to the office at about 9:30 is when I get there. And so it's challenging to walk up those stairs by holding on the rail and having your briefcase draped over your neck and your lunch pail over your neck. And every time I show or I tell my therapist about that, they just cover their eyes like, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me!" I said, "No, it's all good." I said, "Where it's really interesting is when I have to come back down, because I have to come back down backwards, holding that same rail with my left hand. So that's always fun, and they pretty much walk away at that point. They don't even want to hear it, and but I get to go to work and I get to do what I love to do, which is help people finance homes and get into a home and get them out of the um, duplexes and apartments that they've always lived in. And boy, that is such a rewarding thing for me. Um, and so, if it's not a commercial, but if you know of anybody, that's what I do, and that's what I love to do. And I think one of my biggest challenges recently, or since I got back to this business, is just having my old realtors trust me again, trust me that I can do what I did in the past. And the fact is, another positive, I have learned to type with one hand, with my left hand. I'm slower on the keyboard than in the past, but I can still type. But it does present a little bit of a challenge in regards to speed. But what I've found in my 18 months of going through this is I have to find efficient ways to do things because I don't have time to redo them. And so I really do a good job of being efficient in what I do and how I do it. And man, I have a routine at night where I get ready for the next day, and I put all my clothes in one area. I put my brace in the same area so I can get up, get to my chair, get all dressed, and be done without having to go back and forth, back and forth. So that's a real positive thing that I've learned. It's just find ways to be efficient in everything that I do, because I don't have time to do it twice, and I don't have time to revisit them, and I don't have time to revisit decisions that I made. I make the decision and I go with it. If I have to back up afterwards, if it fails, I will make another decision. But I don't sit there and talk about things for days to try to make a decision. I make it, and then I'm going down that road. So, and then that's a positive thing. I have some incredible guys that work with me on the podcast. Ronnie Wilshire and Craig Carter, two of my best friends. Man, I don't know of anybody that would have allowed me to participate in a podcast with them, given my situation. But we meet up every other Friday at my office, and we shoot a podcast about things that are going on in the real estate world. And man, we have so much fun doing it. I have my brother-in-law. Ron Ruthven. He's a city planner up in the Dallas area. We've had him on. We've had chamber presidents on. We've had solar panel people on. We've had movers, credit repair. I mean, you name it. We've had, I think, 27 episodes now. And like I said, man, when I was laying in the bed having a podcast, less than 12 months later was the furthest thing from my mind. So I want to thank Craig Carter and Ron Wilshire for their trust in me to do that. So, some other positives, obviously my family, my wife, Julie, gets me lunch every day in my pail, and is taking great care of me. And my girls are, they do what they do, and they are just so awesome at checking in with me and making sure that I'm okay. And they're constantly texting and emailing and calling. And we get to go to a dinner today with Katie for her 30th birthday party, or 30th birthday. And I just can't believe that she's 30. And so I'm very blessed with that. And then one other win that I want to mention, or positive thing on this deal, obviously there's a ton of them, because I can still walk, I can still drive to work. I'm not stuck in the house all day. I can go outside. I've got so many positive things happening, just because of the help that I've had with my family, my wife and kids, and another guy that has just been a tremendous help to us financially, and is my brother. I don't know where we would be without my brother. And man, that guy stepped up like nobody I know, and he doesn't have to do it. He has his own family. He works hard. He runs a crew that does a lot of property management for people up in the Fort Worth area. And so he has to work out in the elements a lot. Sometimes it's 110 degrees, and sometimes it's 50 degrees, sometimes it's 30. But people's fences are knocked down, or the houses need to get repaired for a new tenant. And so he works his tail off up in Fort Worth. And man, I don't know what we would have done without Scott. He has sent me money back in January. I had a fall, and I broke my hip, and so I couldn't put any weight on my right leg for about 2 weeks. And so I was taken to the ER because I couldn't I got tripped up in my chair while I was working downstairs, and I was getting ready to finish for the day. And I got up and turned my light off, and then I turned back around and got my feet caught in the chair, and I could not get any leverage to catch myself going down. So I went full speed straight on my right hand side, which is the affected side, and I broke my hip. And so Julie heard me. She was in the next room. She heard me fall, and so she was trying to help me up. And so I said, "Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I got to get up by myself, because if I ever do this and you're not here, I need to be able to get up on my own." So I was able to crawl over to another chair, and that was only a couple of feet away, and lift myself up on my knees, and then lift myself up on my legs, turn around, and sit in the chair. So that didn't take much. It didn't hurt. But I needed to do that for myself, to be able to say, hey, I feel comfortable that if I'm home and I fall, I can get back up. So I don't feel like that will ever be an issue. But the problem was when I got up to when I tried to stand up, after sitting in the chair, I could not put one pound of pressure on my right leg, and I thought, oh crap, something is wrong. I can't put any pressure on it whatsoever. So we got the walker, and I tried to do that. I couldn't do that, and so I had to get the stupid wheelchair back out, and we went to the ER. And man, what a disaster that ER was! And if you ever want a ER not to go to, um, call me, text me. I will give you the name of the ER that you do not want to go to. You're better off going a little bit 5 miles down the road to find another one versus the one I went to. So anyway, that's a whole new podcast, but that was a disaster. Um, we rolled up to the ER. Julie went in to say, "Hey, can you come help me get my husband out of the car because he can't walk?" And they said, "No, we really don't have anybody that can come get you out of the car." And so my wife got my wheelchair out, and brought it to the car door. And so I swung my feet out and stood on one leg until I was able to swivel, do the twist. I did the twist over to um, the wheelchair and fell back in the wheelchair, and then we rolled inside from there. We had just been diagnosed with COVID, and so man, it was a great time. It was just a fun time. But while we were doing all of that, going through that mess, my brother, getting back to Scott, my brother found out about it. He was on vacation with his family up in. We had to spend one night in the hospital because it was so disorganized. Really, call me, text me. I'll tell you which one never to go to. Uh, but he found out that I fell and broken my hip, and now I was back home the next day, and so 2 straight days they called in food for us from their vacation spot in Lake Tahoe, um, and fed us. He fed us 2 days in a row, and he said, "Man, if you need anything, you let me know. I'll get it to you." Uh, and I hope, man, he has done more for me and my family than he ever needed to, and I can't thank him enough. And I will pay him back. One day I'll pay him back. I'm not sure how. I hope I never have to uh, do this for him while he's having any health issues. Actually, just right before um, I had a stroke. He had a serious battle with COVID, and we weren't sure he was going to make it. And I don't, I didn't do anything near for him what he did, what he's done, what he's done for me. And for that, I'm sorry. I should have done more. Yeah, I should have done more for him because he was battling surviving as well. So I promise I'll do better next time. Um, so anyway, he is a great friend. I wish he was your brother, but too bad he's not. He's mine, and he's been my best bud ever, ever since we were kids. And so, Scott, if you're Scott, if you're listening or watching, yeah, I can't thank you enough. You are an unbelievable, unbelievable friend, and you have great family. So, okay, good Lord. Sorry. Um, so challenges that I've had. Obviously, I still have a lot of challenges on my right side, but boy, I can't complain. I'm getting stronger every day. I tell people, Monday and Wednesdays are my make me hurt days at therapy. It's the OT, and man, they're bending my hand all different ways. They're pulling my shoulder up above my head, and oh boy, there's Ben and Megan that help me out right now, and they are incredible people. I hope you never meet them because if you meet them, then that means you're having issues that need to be addressed. But if you do get to meet them, or if you do have an issue, um, man, they are great people. The That whole operation is awesome up there. But it's like I said from the start, I've always had great people that you will get to meet on this podcast eventually as we work through the different guests that we're going to have. But that Monday and Wednesday is like make me heard, and Ben I think really enjoys it more than Megan does. But so super nice people. Heard that's make me cry days Monday and Wednesday, and then Tuesday and Thursday is wear me out days where I'm doing OT and a lot of walking, a lot of lifting on my legs, a lot doing foot leg presses and things like that. And so Mandy and Liz just worked me to death up there, and they said, "You tell me when we've gone too far." I said, "No, keep going. We got to we got a baby coming in May. I've got to get ready for that." So they push me really hard. So that's a challenge is going through all of that, but you have to do it. And where I could just say, you know what, this is as good as it gets. And sometimes I I wonder if this is as good as it's going to get. And so because there's good days, bad days for sure. Sometimes it's bad enough where you're just like, man, I wish I wouldn't have gotten to my phone. I wish that I wouldn't have done what I did, and it maybe would have been better if I wouldn't have gotten to my phone and I wouldn't have put through my family through what I'm putting them through. But those are the bad days. Those are real bad days, and but the fact is, when you go through this, um, I guess the biggest challenge that we've had is the financing side of things. Most of 20, all of the last quarter of 21, I was in a bed basically in the either in the hospital or in my house, and was not able to work. So I didn't work for 3 months in September. I mean in 2021, and a lot of 2022 was just awful because I'm learning to talk, and I'm learning to walk, and I'm learning to uh, move again. Now we had some great advances during that time, and I was able to get on the phone and call people, and I think that's probably people say, well, what's the biggest challenge that you've had? And it's not walking upstairs and walking downstairs backwards. It's not getting on the phone and doing what I need to do, or utilizing technology to, send a text message or something like that. It's the financing of things. You have a $35 copay every time I go on rehab. So that's 4 days a week. That's $140 a month. I mean, a week, just to do rehab. So you multiply that times 4 weeks. That's five, six, $700 per month that you're not counting on to pay. And when your income is cut to zero, and now you bring on another debt, it's devastating. The finances have been that challenge has been devastating to us, and that I'm just not going to pull any punches. It's just we've charged up our credit cards. Um, we have done everything we can to stay above water with these finances. We just recently, in the last 2 weeks, decided to cut our diabetes doctor because her copay was $65. So I couldn't afford to keep doing that, and I still do the medicine, but I just don't go see her anymore. I'm letting the primary care physician do that because his copay is $35. So we have all these copays, and we have all these new medications, and so we've taken on probably $1,500 a month in extra expenses for everything that we do, not including when I did the broke the hip thing. We had several visits to the doctor, and those copays were $75. So, I mean, it is unbelievable how much money you spend just to go to the doctor so they can give you medicine to realize or to help you see that, oh, you fractured your hip, you can't do anything. And so you have to pay so much money to do that. And so that, plus the fact that it's very hard to get your old agents to send you business now, because I don't know, when you go several months without calling and touching base with them, because I couldn't do that while I was in the hospital. um, they don't call you like they used to, so you don't get the loans that you used to get. So what I love right now is I'm rebuilding my business from the ground up with brand new people, and people that are just unbelievable people. And if you looking for a new realtor or a realtor, you need to call me, because I know some unbelievable people that will treat you very well, and do a great job for you. So that's a very positive on my side. It's just like, wow, there really are some fantastic people out there. And I've really enjoyed starting another podcast. Believe it or not, I have three now, but I'm doing a podcast called Real Estate Pros of Houston. And I think I've shot 17 podcast episodes now. We have like 40 that are still waiting to be able to uh, get on that show. And man, there are some great stories in that group of people. Great story. Um, so anyway, that is that's been our biggest challenge is I think no, I'm not even going to go there. I think because I've had some people say, well, what's your biggest disappointment? Um, I'm just not even going to answer that question. There's been a lot of disappointment um, in different things, and but I'm going to choose to focus on the positive of the situation. But just be prepared that you know what if you have to do something like this, you're going to have to cut something because your expenses are going to be pretty high with copays and medicines and stuff like that. So um, let me think. What else? That is pretty much it. I am back to 100% even after the broken hip. The doctor said I maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and possibly even 6 to 8. But I am such an overachiever that I was walking again in 16 days. So I went back to him 14 days after I fell and broke the hip, and he said, "Hey, you look pretty good." He goes, "Let's get out of that wheelchair and let's try to walk." And that was exactly 2 weeks after um, the fall. And so I got home. We put the wheelchair back in the garage. I started using a walker for a few days, and then I went back on the cane within a couple of days. So I was walking 16 days after I fell and broke my hip, and I was out of not being able to go upstairs and do the podcast with Craig and Ronnie for a couple episodes. I just did it from here at my house, and so they piped me in over the online, the internet, and so I appreciate them letting me be a part of it still. And but after that, I was back to the office. We're back to the office full time now. I do have an office here that I can work at if I want to, but anyway, it's going great. And but I thought today we would just do a little recap of what's been going on, and some challenges and wins that I've had. And I guess the main thing I can take out of this episode is there's a lot of reasons to complain about this or that, and or we can focus on what's going right. And my sister-in-law, Tanya Maldonado, had to bury her dad in the last couple of weeks. So he died of a real aggressive type of cancer. Uh, and so I've got another friend that is just a couple of years older than me that is battling a very serious cancer. It's a very aggressive type of cancer. I've got other people that Julie works with, and that a brother of one of her coworkers is having a major issue with his brain, and so we can complain about a lot of stuff, and I just encourage you to focus on what's good. And that was part of the reason for this podcast. Is this was a stroke of awful proportions, but it has turned into a stroke of good misfortunes. And while I have had some challenges that I'm not going to hide them from you, I've had major ones. I went over a lot of them today. But the fact is, I have met some of the most incredible people I would have never, ever, ever met had I not had this stroke. I wouldn't have met Megan. I wouldn't have met Ben. I wouldn't have met Mandy, Liz, um, Cindy. We got Shay. We got Kelsey. We got Kent. Kent, the first guy, I can't wait to have him on. He was the first guy to help me get out of bed and say, "Yeah, we got to go. We got to go because if you don't go, your body's going to figure out a new way to do it, and it's not going to be good." And I've recognized that if I can get so good at something, doing it with my left hand, and I'm like, no, I need to force my right hand to do it because the brain is telling me, hey, don't worry about it, Mark. Do it with your left hand. It's easier, and we'll get on without it. But it's like, no, get that right hand up and text with that right hand. So if I don't text you back immediately, it's not because I'm not trying to. It's just taking me longer to hit those buttons than it would if I just did the left hand. And so I just want you to focus on the good. While the right hand is not allowing me to write yet, I've learned and taught myself how to write with my left hand. Now, I hope that will be just a short period of time that I have to do that. But I can write with my left hand, and it, it looks like maybe a third grader right now. And I hear the smarter people are left-handed anyway, so I'm thinking that I'll get smarter if I start writing more with my left hand. And so focus on what's going right. I know I've spent some good time here talking about the challenges, but focus on what's going right and things that you have learned from the situation. And maybe you can learn from my situation to tackle things before they come at you. You can get them taken care of before it becomes an issue. So anyway, that is it for this week's A Stroke of Good Misfortunes. And um, focus on what's going right because there's a lot of things that go right during difficult situations. You just have to find which ones you want to focus on. So we'll see you next week on A Stroke of Good Misfortunes, and we're going to have a special guest next week. I think it's Shakia, and then after that we have the special um, guy that went through a stroke himself, and then Kent, and then just a vast group of guys that are going to be able to help you out along the way. All right, have a great day. Have a great week. If I can do anything for you, be an encouragement to you, give me a call. I would be glad to talk to anybody that that may be going through this, and see if we can offer some encouragement. All right, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.